I'm delighted to announce that this roundtable, after 1 year running this and more than 300 agencies, is officially sponsored by my good friends at Gorgeous. Gorgeous are the #1 rated help desk for Shopify merchants, and they work with almost 6,000 brands across the globe. In the agency that I ran, Gorgeous were a key part of my tech stack. So this is not a sales pitch by any stretch of the imagination. For me, for all the agencies that I work with, most of them have Gorgeous built in, whether it was through me, through my recommendation, or on their own, because it is a fantastic bit of kit. And it's such an easy sell when you build it in as part of a retainer model. So I'm extremely grateful to be able to go from the agency world and working with Gorgeous very closely, and now in the work that I do with agencies, still having them support me. So anyway, enjoy this roundtable. The roundtable here is a group of agencies getting together to really share some of their learnings, some of their challenges, what's working, what's not working, and brainstorm with each other. And at the end of this, I'll follow up with a little bit about how I build technologies into my tech stack, and how that's a good way to bring in revenue, commission. I have an agency that brings in about €20,000 on a monthly basis just on commissions from some of the tech stacks they work with. So it's definitely a nice little earner if you're doing it properly. So enjoy the roundtable, and I will catch you on the other end. Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Let's skew it.
Hello.
How is everyone?
Good.
Hello.
How are you?
Fantastic. Michael, are you in the dungeon?
Yeah, I got kicked out of my main house. This is my maid wench.
So cute.
I eat your child.
I eat my child, yeah. It's okay if you're in a
Your
basement.
actual child.
If you're in a basement in the US, child labor is okay.
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 Nice. And calling your child a maid wench, also acceptable. You're on mute. Okay, fine. Michael's on mute singing. It's fine. How's everyone?
Thinking, I want my mullet back.
Laying down.
It's from Hannah Montana. Everyone.
I love that she's singing with you though. Like that's amazing.
It's Billy Ray Cyrus's song on Hannah Montana for all you Disney Channel fans out there.
I love Hannah Montana.
I want my mullet.
That's why I muted.
Okay. As a 34-year-old woman who has no children, that literally means nothing to me. I feel like I know what Hannah Montana means, but
it's just
zero
gibberish.
value.
That's what it all is.
How is everyone? Jer, long time no see. Are you still locked in Ireland?
We're kind of opened up a bit. We're about halfway there. We're going to have the pleasures of dining indoors, which might seem like a small thing to everybody who lives in sunshine, but in Ireland, dining indoors is kind of a necessity, unless you keep on dining in water. Yeah, so we're going to have that in a couple of months' time, or a month or something like that. But outside of that, it's pretty slow reopening.
Can people fly in in Ireland right now, or is it still closed off?
No,
I think Irish people can.
Yeah. There are some countries which you would have to quarantine if you arrive in, but it's very it's not very it's not very well managed, we'll say. And as an Irish person, yeah, you can fly around, but there's a lot of advice around not flying and that sort of thing, and it kind of changes day to day. So but you could fly to Spain, for example, and back if you wanted to.
I live in Spain.
I gotta go to both.
Yeah, I live in Spain. Jerry, you can fly here. Next retreat, you can head over.
Fantastic. Well, I got my.
I actually had for those. I don't know if it's. You got your second jab.
Yeah, I got my second jab yesterday, so I'm invincible. Cover me with COVID.
Okay. You know that the vaccine, you still get COVID, right? It's not like it doesn't. And then you have to get the vaccine like every. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but you're going to have to get it like every year. And they're saying because of the Delta, there's going to be a third booster.
Yeah, I got shares in Pfizer when this thing kicked off, so I'm all behind multiple top-ups.
Nice. I actually had anybody in the group who came to it. There was like 10 agencies. Oh, Pierre's here. 10 agencies were over 2 weeks ago for a retreat that I did here in Gran Canaria, which was amazing. I was the only person out of all of us, even though I live here, that got sunburnt fuck. But apart from that, it was incredible. We did a workshop with Gorgeous, which was super awesome. And we did like a lot of conversations around building out retention marketing strategies, and just profitability was a big topic. So that was really, really great. Do it again at the end of this quarter and the end of the year. I'll open it up then for all of the agencies that are in my network that want to head to Sunny Island and partake in some of the tequila. Because that was the highlight of the trip for me, to be honest. There was copious amounts consumed.
Is there just like tequila obviously is made specifically in Mexico, is there any spirit that's made in Spain?
Yeah, we have like a Canarian rum.
Okay.
Which was a balcony favorite. That was one of those things that you get to the balcony at 2 in the morning, you're like, yeah, I'll have some of that shit from the fridge. Because it tastes like sugar.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it goes down easy. I mean, after like 14 tequilas, anything goes down easy. So
14 tequilas.
Yeah, I'm a big girl and I was in the military. It's whatever.
So those forces combined to make Superwoman.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't have thought that on the first night when I tried to go for a swim at 2 in the morning and then decided to go for a climb on the rocks and split my arm and then puked all over the sink and blocked it. So,
oh, well, I mean, that just goes without saying.
Yeah, exactly. That was the first night. Got it all out of my system.
Yeah. Got all the evil out.
Yeah, exactly. Great after that. Like 3 pounds lighter. But then the buffet then bounced it out, so it didn't last for long. So how is everyone? Any exciting updates, announcements? Any exciting Q3 activities going on?
Well, I'm new to the group, so it sounds like some of you know each other and speak quite regularly. So hi, I'm Sarkis. I'm based in Bristol, and I run an e-commerce agency based in the southwest of England.
Nice.
Sounds like everybody is from quite a few different places, which is good.
What's your agency? What do you do there?
So we specialize in our core skills, if you like, are Magento, Shopify, and WooCommerce. But we specialize specifically in integrating a lot of those websites to SAP Business One and Microsoft Dynamics. So quite complex integrations that we do with most of our clients. And yeah, that's what we specialize in. And we've recently taken on a new e-commerce platform called Ecommerce. I don't know if anyone's heard of that.
I've heard a lot about Ecommerce in the last 6 months. Yeah.
So it's an excellent platform, and we work very closely with the team at Aero. And a lot of our clients are seeing a lot of benefit from the platform in terms of cost of ownership, in terms of how much it costs to host it, which is pretty much nothing, and the user experience and the speed and the performance on mobile. So yeah, I'd seriously recommend it to anyone looking for a different angle and a different platform to develop on.
Do you have a production site or a site live?
We have one that's actually in maintenance mode this morning. It's not back up live, but if you want to send me your email, I can send you the details.
Sure.
Yeah, we built our first site on Aero a month and a bit ago, and it's gone live. But we're doing some updates for the client, so it's in maintenance mode at the moment, and we've just started our second. So slowly, gradually, getting up to speed with doing more of them. But the early signs are very good.
Yeah, we had a look at it some time ago. It was reasonably, I suppose, early doors for it.
Yeah.
Looked pretty good. I liked some of the stuff that I saw. They had a pretty cunning approach to how they set up tagging. It was like it was like somewhere
Yeah.
halfway between attribute sets and in Magento and just
Yeah.
non-structured tags, which look pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very, very good in that way, for sure. And the team there are really they're really switched on. They're constantly releasing new modules, new functionality. It's just really easy to manage, and yeah, they're very responsive. So, which is good. You can always just ping them on Slack and ask them questions and that type of thing. And they've just recently released an API as well, which just opens up a whole host of bespoke functionality you can hook into it and stuff. So yeah, I've got the emails that you've sent on the chat. I'll send you a link to it when it's back up so you can take a look.
Nice.
Awesome. On that note, I want to introduce myself as well. My name is Casey Roeder. I'm one of the founders at an agency out here in West Hollywood, California. It's called Skylab Media. We're an omni-channel agency. So we focus on 4 main core product offerings. And we also have a direct partnership with a venture capital firm where when we scale enterprise accounts, we give them capital funding to merge their products offline into brick and mortar stores like Walmart and Target. And recently we've been expanding our influencer department just because we recognize that a lot of e-com clients don't have an agency that is working on influencer management. And so it's kind of something that we're tackling right now. And another thing that we're in the process of doing is developing an in-house portal for our clients to use. At the end of the day, we want to be an end-to-end solution so that we keep our clients long-term as possible, so that they don't see a reason to go in-house. We started this company about 1.5 years ago, and yeah, so.
Nice to meet you.
Typical clients that you're working
Nice
with,
to meet you.
Casey?
Yep. So it ranges anywhere between the mom and pop shops to mid to enterprise accounts. So for example, we work with clients like Blind Barber. Typically, those are clients that are seeing an annual revenue over $1 million, down to apps and whatnot. So it's a wide variety as well.
Nice.
Cool.
Well,
Is there
while
any?
we're entering- Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, Ray. No, go for it. No, you go for it, Ray.
Well, yeah, I'm new to the group as well. My name's Ray Sarno. I own Onyx Design. We're a boutique web development agency. We do all manner of web design, web development, integrations. E-commerce is a massive part of what we do, and we basically do everything there. We're not a full service marketing agency though. We don't do ad creative, marketing strategy, things like that. We're also based in LA, Casey, so it'd be nice to connect.
Let's definitely do that. I'll put down my email address should you get it.
What I'll do as well at the end, I'll put a post up on LinkedIn when the video is edited, and I'll tag everybody in it so everybody can connect with each other and go back on LinkedIn. Does anybody have, I have some stuff that I feel like I want to talk about, which is not a surprise for the people that know me. But does anybody have any specific challenges that they're facing right now that they wanted to kind of share with the group and get some insights on?
So one thing, I'm just curious, other ad agencies out there, Tim, for example, I know you're on the call. One thing that Facebook recently released was, the updates around iOS 14.5 and 6 and how the attribution modeling has changed. They say that over 70% of their device users are on Android. So we kind of did that same process back in the day where you do broad targeting. You would target iOS devices. Now we're doing Android, but we're seeing a hit and miss. So some clients see really good success, some don't. So I was wondering if there were any other workarounds that you've done at your agency that works.
I feel like I've been trying to work around stuff for a while, and we've done like sending everything to the server side, like trying to do stuff like that. Someone posted the other day that you can like just retarget page engages on iOS devices, which I think is pretty smart. Ultimately, like I think we're just continuing to work on like getting really deep in making creative and making landing pages and stuff, and just trying to dial in things like that and influencer whitelisting, just like things that are out, things that like work anyway that still work, you know, and then that's kind of working too. And then we're also trying to like get our clients on Google and email. I mean, it's fucking heavy going, like it's annoying. But I think they need us more than ever because the business is panicking, but they hate it.
Yeah.
We're in more abusive relationships with the clients than before because they're unhappy.
Yeah, that's why I think it's so important to have like a broad scope of services, because if one platform isn't as strong as it used to be and there's all these changes in the market, you're able to pivot. So that's one thing that we've been doing too, is like doing alternative landing pages, append that UTM tracking so that we can have that longer attribution window period. Okay, cool.
One of the challenges I'm facing specifically around Amazon and getting reporting out of Amazon in in a time efficient and better process manner. So that's something I'd like to get. If anyone else has some tips or secrets around reporting from Amazon. Amazon is not easy to report out of. So that's
Gabriel, what kind of reporting are you looking to get from Amazon? My agency runs brands on Amazon and all their other extended marketplaces, and we're actually developing a service for Walmart.com that we're piloting with our current clients. But I'm curious to know, I'm not like a whiz on the tech side, but what is the reporting you're looking to get, and how are you doing it right now?
So right now it's so we're starting focusing on B2B. So manufacturers that are expanding and want to do take the direct to consumer approach, and they realize Amazon is a, quick to serve audience build.
Yeah.
So just kind of more managing the volume of products that they want to put on at scale. So kind of API pull and measure month-on-month growth from sales, and then also help them identify which products to spend time to optimize in.
Are you wanting to create something in-house, or are you okay with going through a service provider that would already have access to the API?
No, happy to discuss that.
Okay, I'm not creating a software, nor is anyone on my team like a developer. I have a guy who does data for us, but he's more like data visualization. I'll just reach out to you, and we can talk about it offline, because it might just be specific to us too.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. There's a lot of other service providers out there that can help with just providing visualization of data, because anybody can pretty much get access to the API if you create a developer account. It's what you're going to do with it from there that starts to really add up and cost a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael, Gabriel, it's Sarkis here. I've just put a URL of a company that we're working with in Germany. You'll have to translate the site, but I can make an introduction if you want. They do exactly what you've described, and it helps you manage your ad spend across various platforms, including Amazon. And does all the reporting as well. So they call mapads.net. Not sure if anyone's heard of them.
No,
Say that
haven't
one more
come
time.
across them.
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Mapads.net.
Maybe drop it in the put it in the chat.
I've dropped it in the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you drop it in the chat, or did you drop it to somebody privately?
Is it this one?
Yeah, hold on. I've done that by mistake.
Yeah. Okay, we got it.
There we go. Can everyone see it now?
Yeah.
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 Cool.
Yeah, that's them. Yeah, and if anyone wants an introduction, I'll put my email in the chat as well. I can email the founders and give an introduction, and you guys can take the conversation forward.
All right. Cool, thank you.
Nice. I know attribution is always a huge topic that comes up, especially in the Klaviyo world, or just, you know, retention services in general. Attribution is a tough one to get right. Supermetrics. Yes, Jeremy, we spoke at length the last day about supermetrics. I love supermetrics. I think it's a great bit of kit. Do you want to explain how you use it for your?
Yeah, we use Google Data Studio for our reports, and we use supermetrics to power a lot of the data feeds into Data Studio, both from the website, from Google, from Facebook, and YouTube and Amazon. And they seem to continue to bring out kind of new connectors all the time. And it's been, really, really helpful to be able to get good live data that both our team can use for kind of ongoing day-to-day management purposes, but also allows our clients the ability to play with reports and change dates, and kind of gives them the tooling to be able to, for clients that aren't as good in Google Analytics, it just makes it easy for them to see.
Nice. Yeah, Adrian, it was you and I that spoke last week or this week about supermetrics specifically.
Yeah, we use supermetrics the same, but I've struggled to find. Amazon was like an upcharge from supermetrics, and it's unlisted now, and it was a much higher price. I haven't been able to find that integration on supermetrics. So if you have a link or something, I'd love to add that. Currently, we are using the API, and then we export everything to a sheet, Google Sheet, and then we use the Google Sheet to populate a Data Studio report. So
we've been doing that too.
Yeah. But are you using an Amazon integration? Because it was there a year ago and it's gone.
I'll check with our team and get back to you, Adrian.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Adrian, one of the things to keep in mind, I don't know how often you interact with Amazon, but definitely from a SaaS perspective, they're known for constantly changing the API and changing formatting, and so you're constantly having to stay up to date with stuff. And there are even things like if you want to create something inside, like create a campaign inside of for the advertising API, which is a separate one. If you want to create campaigns inside of a software, they change that constantly. So some of the companies that we use, they don't even do that anymore. So it could be possible that they removed a specific integration.
Yeah, I'm aware of all the changes. It's a continuous upkeep, but yeah, that's where I was hoping to lower the maintenance by using a supermetrics, even though it was like $500 a month or something.
Yeah,
that's still a few hours of a developer's time, easily outweighed by a subscription. But yes, good feedback. But yeah, I'm looking for that one if it comes back, because I want to utilize it.
Nice. I have some topics that I want to bring up just on the back of the retreat and so this obviously the start of the quarter, so I'm doing a lot of the last week and this week, a lot of Q3 planning with a lot of the agencies. So I work with about 30 something agencies right now. I'm not sure how many, but more than I should probably. So a lot of Q3 planning. And Q4 is obviously the season for revenue. If any of you are on my newsletter and got the newsletter I sent earlier, Q4 is really where a lot of the revenue is made. But this quarter, what I have learned through experience doing this will be my third year now doing what I do with agencies. This is the quarter to double down on profitability and really putting proactive measures in place to actually track, which is why it's interesting you guys are talking about reporting from a client point of view. But I'd be interested to know how many people actually have proper reporting in place from an agency point of view, where you're actually tracking your own metrics and your own profitability and what your KPIs are in the team and how you're holding people accountable, because I feel like that's often missed. Does anybody have a good system in place that you're doing currently?
Yeah, so my previous company that I worked for prior to starting Skylab Media, they had that really robust in terms of in-house reporting, and it was transparent across the board for every single employee, which was nice. basically what they do is they integrate some type of software. I don't remember which one it was. Usually it might be linked with either Pandadoc or HubSpot, I believe, and then I forgot, but basically it breaks down from the life cycle or the cycle of the sales of when the leads close, how long they are in terms of MRR, and what the net profit is. Usually they do that every week, every month. They go over all that stuff. So I guess what I'm trying to say, doing stuff like that, I personally don't think it's.
I'm not the only person who's having terrible signal from Casey.
I was just gonna say, is he doing it or just me?
Yeah, was that just, were you just being dramatic, or is your signal really bad?
I think
the signal was bad.
Please God, yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's doing the drama very well. Okay, we didn't catch the last bit of what you just said, Casey. Is he dropped off altogether?
Yeah, I think he dropped off.
Yeah. So I mean, so we have internal processes to make everyone accountable and set targets. It's not overly complicated. We use HubSpot to track all our deals and take them through various milestones. And we separate. There's two people in the team. We sort of separate. One person looks after new business development, and the targets across our support contracts and targets across our new projects are very closely linked to our financial plan, and that's monitored with our accounting system and a sort of Google sheet that's mapped to it so that we can review that every month. So every month we can match leads in HubSpot against targets set for the month, set for the quarter, set for the year, against our financial plan, and the person responsible for new business, they're accountable for that ultimately, and that's how we measure it. And then we've got somebody else who's our lead account manager, who looks after all our existing clients, and she has targets set along the lines of upselling existing customers, either our services or our partner services. So two revenue streams, which is partner referrals, and then obviously upselling new work, enhancements to sites, extensions, that type of thing. So that's how we do it internally. We separate it very clearly between new business and existing clients and how we upsell services to them, whether it's our services or partner services, and new business support projects type of thing. So I find it works quite well because it just makes everyone accountable and everyone knows what they're doing.
Sure, for sure. It comes down to accountability at the end of the day. A lot of agencies I speak to, they're so focused on lead gen and getting more leads into the funnel. With lead gen comes a bigger, more leads, more volume. It's a bigger team, and the bigger your team gets, I find from my experience, they often lose sight of what the profitability actually looks like because it's bums on seats. So when you have agencies, I work with some agencies and they're running at a less than 10% profit margin. Now they're making millions of dollars. So 10% is a decent amount, but the profit margin is so low. So not tracking that for me, and like you said, it's not that complicated. You just need to be clear on what it is that you're trying to achieve. I work with one agency and I send it around in the email that I sent earlier today, but I can share it again. The project profitability calculator, when he sells a project, he goes into the project detail, pulls out 40%, and then goes to the team and gets the team to work against 60%. Worst case scenario, the profitability then will fall to about 25, but he never lets it go below 25%. Which is smart to do that up front rather than get to the end of a project and then do a project retrospective and be like, fuck, the margins were tight on that and we lost. In some cases, we lost money because it's very easy to lose money on projects, or we didn't make much on it. So I don't know if anybody is doing that or looking at profitability. Jared, what are you doing your end? I know you guys are pretty diligent when it comes to profitability on projects and working that all out in advance.
Yeah, yeah, we are. I actually have that book behind me here somewhere. Profit First is the one you're talking about. I mean, I suppose we figure out what profit margin we're trying to hit. We work all our sheets according to that. We revisit pricing regularly, so that and we kind of sense check the pricing on a regular basis. Yeah, I mean, like it depends on the e-commerce platform you're working on as well. I mean, a new e-commerce platform, like let's say you're going to give a punt on Aero, for example, you're almost certainly going to lose money on it at some level. So with certain e-commerce platforms, you have to be sure to get your retainer in place before you start to experiment with whether or not you want to potentially take a loss on the actual build. At least you can kind of, let's say, claw it back over the course of a partnership and a retainer. So I think you've got to be pretty serious about that. But I'm sure everybody here is kind of has a similar, a similar approach. I mean, you obviously have to make sure that when you're doing your estimation, you put in your buffers, that you have kind of a range of, let's say, confidence that the developers have applied to the estimates. You're adding in your fees for QA and for project management and all the rest of it. I think with certain platforms like Shopify and BigCommerce, it's an awful lot easier to be predictable. And then after that, with the likes of the Magento, Shopware, and those sorts of projects, you need to be very rigid or rigorous around your discovery process and the BA process, to ensure that you've put everything in place, that you've recosted everything that you've discovered. No point in doing a discovery process and not talking about what you've discovered after the discovery process. So you recost it and you go through what everybody is happy to pay for now and pay for later. You add in your contingencies, agree to contingency up front, for two reasons. One is to make sure that the e-commerce manager doesn't have to go back to the board or some, let's say, higher up group to get sign off, because when there's that, like when there's those sorts of, let's say, obstacles to get additional cost for change requests, everybody kind of is very slow to admit that there are change requests. Whereas if there's contingency, everybody's quite happy to negotiate the contingency budget and talk about change requests in terms of contingency, and the board will have signed off on the cost plus the contingency. And that sort of thing allows, like, there's scope creep on every project, but at least there you have the costs kind of built in advance. So we figure, depending on the kind of project and the client, sometimes you can tell, but we usually figure in a 15 to 20% contingency on the entire thing. Yeah, that's how we do it. No rocket science.
Do you get pushback to selling in contingency on projects, which I think is smart? Is that visible? Is that the client has visibility on that?
Yeah, and we're very clear about how, like, in the pitch for that, in the sales for that, to the e-commerce manager, the advantage is that they have that scope. Like they do need it, and they have it, and it's good for them to have that scope to add or to make changes, or to think halfway through a project, oh, I should have added in, I don't know, like, let's say an email marketing platform or something like that. There's budget for doing various things, and for creating, for design work and so on. So from the e-commerce manager, it's an easy enough sell. For the board, the way we have to sell it there is to be clear about the fact that contingency isn't us. We don't work and operate towards always getting into that contingency. We're very clear that the contingency is agreed only with the e-commerce manager, negotiated with the e-commerce manager. We provide estimates for all of the additional work that goes into the contingency, and that's like, in fairness, in reality, actually, we don't actually break into the contingency in a lot of projects. And what happens with the contingency then, because it's already spent in the minds of the business, we roll it into the retainer. So, and that gets us started on the retainer, which is always a little bit tricky.
So I was just going to ask you, because I would assume when you're selling in projects with contingency, a bit of a buffer, clients are going to say, what happens if I don't use it?
Oh yeah, yeah, but we don't actually bill for it either. So when we invoice, we don't invoice with the contingency. We used to.
Okay.
And it didn't actually matter that much, to be honest, as long as we were clear on what was going to happen to us. But now we invoice only for the project. We've all agreed to contingency. We know how the contingency operates, and we've agreed, like always during the discovery process, there's always additional things like SEO packages that people want, or migrations, or there's a whole bunch of additional stuff. And we can identify these additional areas that we can sell as the project is going, growth areas and marketing areas. And then, towards the end of the project, if the contingency is looking too virginal, or whatever you want to say, we kind of say, right, well, look, we're going to have a retainer, and here's a couple of ideas. Why don't we put some work into your social media campaigns, or whatever it is.
We do the same, Jared. I think if just by being transparent with the contingency, actually it puts the client in the back foot not to keep introducing new scope creep and stuff, and it just gets the project over the line as you intend, and then you can start to talk about add-on features and new projects. Whereas if you don't talk about it, they often tend to think that they can just ask for things, and then it becomes a difficult conversation.
Absolutely, like the advantage with that there, Sakis, as you point out, is the conversation is, well, how do you want to use your contingency? Oh, this is a change request. Let's talk about the change request. How much is it? How does it impact budget and timelines? And will we include it? And then it becomes a question of just, are we going to include this in the change request, instead of a whole thing around, well, that should have been discovered, or that was on our old site, and we assume it's going to be on our new site, and that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have something to add. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, this is Matt Harris. I own an agency in Connecticut, Ecommerce. We're about 80% Magento, and we're about 60% B2B. Most of our projects are data heavy, and sometimes we're bringing existing businesses into e-commerce and building B2B portals for their buyers, and they're new to this entire thing, and they have a lot of legacy business data that we have to deal with. So in our engagements, we try to phase one and phase two. Phase two is kind of a contingency, but when we're in that discovery phase, we're trying to look at like the MVP, the minimal viable product, putting a lot of stuff in a phase two bucket, and then that phase two bucket rolls into a retainer. So you've also already got the client in that early development phase thinking there's more stuff that we're going to work on after launch. And that kind of helps get the client clear on the fact that this is going to be an ongoing project. It's not a build it and walk away situation. So that we found that to be helpful, but adding that contingency is really smart, and that's something that I definitely want to look at, because we haven't really talked about it that way, and that's a good takeaway for me.
Yeah, I think especially if you do a lot of Magento, I'm sure you know what a pain they can be.
Yeah,
it's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, can I add something?
Go for it.
So I'm Gentian Shero. We're an agency based out of New York. I'm in Europe now, and so I'm drinking Corona for like a month and a half. Semi-vacationing, semi-working. To go back to the main question, was profits versus revenue. They both need to be tracked. In my opinion, we've been in business for 10, 11 years now. Both equally important, with one difference is that if you, maybe you guys here don't have this as an end goal or as a dream, but if you are to be acquired from someone, what matters is your EBITDA. You can turn in revenue, $10 million, 100, who cares? But if you have no profit, you're nothing to the other party that is trying to buy into you, to invest into you, however you want to consider it. So as much as revenue matters to someone else and to you, like EBITDA and profits matter. And if you can hit the 16% mark, that is like the ideal goal. Some people do better, some people do less than that. But if you can hit the 16% EBITDA, and then it depends on the bracket where you fall. If you are like a $5 million company, for example, your multiplier will be like 8, 9, 10 of that 16%. But if you are up to 2 million, it will be 4 or 5. So this makes a huge difference, basically. So just wanted to throw this in there because we were partially acquired, like over a year ago from a Finnish company, and we're working with them on a day-to-day basis. And second, when it comes to contingency, we do Magento primarily, as Matt said before. It is, like we add contingency plus and minus actually, which is interesting. We add like 20 plus or minus contingency. So if we end up using less time at the end, like we don't bill the client, like for that time. But if we do, they still know that they might have to pay 20% over what we gave them. And we are super honest, super transparent that, hey, guys, like we don't know, you don't even know. Even though we do the discovery, things change as we proceed with the project. And if you do a project that is like $500,000 or $750,000, like you cannot hold us, like I don't even want to work with a client that is like not willing to accept that. But just want to share. Thank you.
That's super interesting. I've considered doing that. We've considered doing where, maybe up until 80% of the estimated effort, you're paying for that. If we finish early, then we sort of split the difference. So it fixes the incentive for, if we're billing hourly, to just, we're somewhat incentivized to work as much as possible. And then like going over the other side after the estimate, then the compensation starts to go down to some endpoint. Have you found, my worry was that clients would find it too complex. It's like just tracking and reporting would be cumbersome.
Yeah, not really. So like as much as we pitch that to clients, we do a plus minus 20% contingency. They sign the contract. The dotted line is that, hey, you might pay less, you might pay more. But usually we almost never are like minus like 20% of the agreed price. And this is for the bigger projects, for the like regular like clients that work with us on like the support ongoing basis. Like even if we do it for less, we never tell them that we're going to do it for less if it took less, because how many times have we all eaten shit over here and have gone overtime and have paid out of our pocket? So this is kind of trying to equal out that time that we were under, and we made a few more bucks, a few more dollars, but usually that's not the case, and it will never offset it, So for the client, what's important is that we did the job, we did it within scope and within the budget, and it is done on time. That's all that matters for them. If we did it for less time and we made a few more dollars, that's kudos to us, but that never offsets the other times that we have gone way over budget and have ended up eating the cost. So.
I would say from my side, profit margins you should be aiming for around 20%, especially if you're looking at exit. If you're looking at exit, you should be looking 20, 30%. I actually work with one agency, but he's more in marketing, and he has profit margins of between 60 and 70% because he's managed to outsource some of his services, where he has client-facing team that are stateside, and then he has a implementation team that are distributed and remote, and the profit margins on them is insane. But 20%, especially for a development agency, is where you should be at. Also, the thought of not charging, if I give a client a quote for 50K, and if I don't bill that amount, I would never not charge them for it. So fair fucks to you for being honourable. I'm clearly not.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to add on my side too, working with an ad agency in the past and currently owning an ad agency as well. One thing to boost your profit margins are freelancing, are outsourcing some of your employees, whether it's overseas, whether it's people that you know that can do the job and have a client-facing team that operates the day-to-day with that client relationship. I've seen it work with other agencies. So definitely take that into consideration because it's a really smart thing to do, especially if you're in the beginning stages where you're trying to grow that profit revenue baseline. And
We were originally using a ton of freelance work around us. We're based in Ontario, Canada, just a few minutes from the Shopify Plus offices in Waterloo. And we turned to using students for most of the freelance work. In Canada, there's some considerable grant programs that get the cost of labor down to like $4 or $5 an hour. And then normally those students are sticking with us for a few years throughout a co-op term and then into their 4th or 5th year. The cost of labor just plummets. It's fantastic, and most of them are fighting for jobs that are unpaid. So offering them somewhere around the $18 an hour mark, minus the subsidies that we get from the government, we get labor for about $6 plus all of the extra, taxes and the lovely things the government puts on top. But they end up turning into full-time employees that are already onboarded into the business. So we get to double dip on onboarding, grants, things like that. So my only drawback on using a freelancer is I don't get to extract any additional value beyond what they're doing. They're never going to provide more. It's an hourly rate for whatever deliverables you've set to them. So the student option is by far fantastic. And yeah, sure, we hire 3 hoping to keep 1, and it's just hire and fire aggressively, and it's worked out for the last, say, 4.5 years we've been doing it. And primarily we're targeting universities with either the appropriate program. They do all of the hiring work too. It's super low maintenance from an agency side. You just give them a job posting and you'll have 50 applications. It's fantastic.
exactly. And to give you guys a little bit more of my background in terms of work experience, again, like I've worked with Tim Keen at Meet 6, so we have that experience together working and growing that agency to where it's at now. But I've also worked at other companies like Hawk Media, and to your point, that's exactly what they did in the very beginning. They would reach out to the local universities in LA to hire students, whether it would be an internship role or a freelance role. And then the incentive for them is that they get to build that team in that department because they already know who these potential employees may be and how good their talent is. And the biggest thing from what I've learned in terms of growth over the years is, again, having a strong profit margin, but having a sustainable team. So when you start to scale your business, you have the right resources in place so that you're able to meet the needs of potential clients and those leads. Because at the end of the day, if you're burning and churning your clients for 1 month, 3 months, and you're not a long-term revenue company, and you're looking to exit or you're wanting to sell the company or get acquired, things like that will be red flags. So it's really important to have that structure in place. But yeah, I'll stop.
And out of curiosity, I think it was Genshin, you were talking about the EBITDA side of things. Have people kind of considered the reverse, where there's a profit or an EBITDA benchmark that you don't want to go over because it means you're just getting fat and you should be reinvesting that into growing let's say, the size of the business and so on. it's not something we do, but it's something I've heard in another kind of forum where one particular company would say, okay, well, if we're doing more than X% profit, I start to get worried because it means that I'm not focusing on trying to grow the business.
Yeah, that's a great question, Jared. Usually it's like almost impossible to grow like above 20-25% over year on year. You can, but things will fall through the cracks. You know, like you will lose money, people will be overstressed. So logically, like, yeah, you can do like extremely well and have like a way above average EBITDA or MRR, you know, like, and those are like the two considerations, the contracts that people look into when they are trying to acquire you and your agency. But I think that it's like kind of hard to do like extremely well with, you know, we all know like what is happening in the world nowadays, you know, like finding talent is almost impossible, and they cost as much as the vice president of the United States sometimes, you know, like the salaries that I hear. So I'm like, oh my God, I don't make that money ever, you know, so just saying.
I think if you were hiring developers, you'd want something better than a Donald Trump on the front line of the code base, huh?
Always. But even my daughter can beat Donald Trump, so you know it's okay.
I had something to add to that. If you're, I don't know what it's like in Europe. I think here, because I've been doing some research, mapping out potential exit, but unless you merge with somebody or there's a strategic sale, most of the private equity guys don't want to deal with you until you're at 5 million revenue. So sprinting to 5 million is, if you're looking for an exit, I would say focus on scaling the business to 5 million and then work on your margins. I think you're going to have a better exit that way. It's hard to get to 5 million when you start from scratch as like one person, which is what I did. And, you know, so I don't know if that makes sense to everybody else, if they've thought about that, but of course you want to, they're going to look at your historical margins too. So you need to build about a 3-year window at the end when you're above 5 million, where you're getting to that 20% margin, and then you're going to have a really nice exit. But there's also just the lifestyle agency model where you're at 2 million and you're making that 20% margin, and you're not really interested in selling it, and maybe you hand it off to somebody, or you just keep owning it and you build a partnership team or something. But that's the only thing. If you're focused on 20% and you're not scaling, and your agency's hovering around 1 or 2 million in revenue, you're going to have a hard time selling it. That's what I've been told, at least. And I don't know if anyone else is hearing.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring Damiano. Can you speak? Because I know that we had a master class last month in the private group that I run, and we brought in a team of mergers and acquisition experts. They're actually based out of Canada, called Toro Group. Super good guys, super good guys, and we talked specifically around mergers and acquisitions. I work with Damiano as director of operations actively, so M&A is something that comes up all the time. I don't know, Damiano, if you want to share some of like the numbers stuff and what you've been advised from the multiple people you've spoken to.
I mean, like, so I've had like multiple conversations about this like recently with like potential people that sort of reached out to us for like either a merger or acquisition and stuff. It seems to me like the model that I'm like mostly attracted to right now is this like idea of like a virtual merger. That's one of the things that like Toro Group does, and it's actually one of the things that a few of our clients have done as well. So they got their companies like acquired as part of a package with multiple other companies. And so one of the things that Toro Groups actually does is they'll take like an agency and package it up with like a SaaS business or an e-commerce business, and then the multiple on all of those businesses kind of goes up because they're sold as a package. We actually had an e-commerce brand that we were working with last year that sold for over $200 million, just that brand alone, because they did that with a bunch of other pharmaceutical companies. And so I'm kind of like flirting with that idea at the moment. I'm not an expert into this stuff by no means, but I'm sort of like looking at what the options there would be, because it seems like you can get like upwards of a multiple of like 8 or even 10 when you sort of package your agency up with like other companies and go for an acquisition together, from what I found at least.
Anybody else having mergers and acquisitions conversation? I agree, Matt, I agree 100% with what you said. When it comes to exit, you want to be looking at 3 things: process, retention of your team and your clients, and automation. They're the 3 pillars if you're looking at exit. And you do need an 18 to 36 month window. I actually spoke with a guy who exited last year. He sold his agency to, what are they called? I think they're called like Ecommerce or Tiny Commerce, and they buy like people in the industry. And I had a great conversation with Andrew, super nice guy. And he said to me that in hindsight, he would have made much different financial decisions earlier than what he did. And one of the reasons that he wanted to exit is because he was a solo agency owner and wanted to have a team of people around him who knew the structure, who knew the process. I don't know if Tim is still on the call. I know that he had a sales call to jump onto, but it sounds similar to a conversation I had with Tim recently, that when you're working as a solo agency owner, it's very attractive to have other people who got it together, that's a bigger team, and especially the leadership team is bigger. But Andrew actually said that he exited way too early, and it was probably the difference between a 0 and not. And some of the things he said he wished he had done sooner is get that structure in place, get the leadership team in place, get himself out of the business and let it run based on metrics for a while first and then bounce. One of the agencies I'm working with, they're 3 years old and they've got to around, I want to say like 350, 400K a month, half of which is recurring revenue. So we're working over the next 6 months to get a managing director in place, so he can then do the same thing. The MD steps in, he steps away for 18 to 24 months, at which stage he will then exit, most likely. That's the smart way. Now, it doesn't necessarily, it could be a CEO, it could be a director of operations, it could be you don't necessarily need to bring that person in, but the company effectively would run itself. So he then, quarterly board meetings or monthly check-ins, but apart from that, he then can go and build other ventures, which is smart.
Yeah, to add on to that too, so our company is fairly new. We started around the same time as Tim's company did. And one thing that we did in the very beginning was have a direct partnership with a venture capital firm, because we knew that having a team outside of your internal team is really important to solidify your presence, to have other stakeholders involved that are decision makers, and to grow your company at a faster rate as well. So I think I just wanted to add on to that, because that is very important to think about. And also too, a few years ago, when I was a growth advisor for a previous ad agency out in LA too. And the difference between us and other agencies was they originally were a siloed company. They didn't have a leadership team. They didn't have outside sources. And within the first year, the owner of the company basically said, hey, look, we need to acquire another agency that has their own team in place, so that when we grow on the quarter over quarter or year over year, we have a team in place already. We already have a leadership team, and that provides more value to all stakeholders involved, whether it's internally or externally. It really does work.
Yeah, and I think another point to add to that as well, it depends on what you want to do when you exit, because there's some people that are happy, like this guy Andrew I mentioned. He wanted to be bought, but he didn't want to leave. He actually didn't want to leave his agency. He just didn't want to be responsible for running it. Some agency owners are quite happy to stay for 12, 24, 36 months after they sell the company, and other agencies just want to get the fuck out of Dodge. And they just want to, so if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for other ventures, then you need to get your leadership team in place, get your process, get your structure, get your KPIs, get your profitability. And once that agency is running without you, which is why with this agency I mentioned in New York, we're doing exactly the same thing. And we know that it can run without him. At that stage, then he knows that when he sells, they don't need him in the business. He's effectively made himself, you know, surplus to requirements, which is exactly what he wants. And you can just focus on other ventures. In his case, it's opening up a stoner cafe, whatever. That's what he wants to do. So it's cool. Bit different from an agency. I feel like being an agency owner makes you like you kind of have to be a bit of a stoner, depending on the kind of agency you run. But that's his next big dream. So we're at the hour now. Was there any challenges? So I'm running a boot camp at the moment, which some of the agencies here are involved in. We did paid discovery yesterday, which is amazing. We've got sales process tomorrow, and then next we're doing like onboarding sales retainers. Typically these are a lead generation we've done already. So typically these are conversations or challenges that agencies have. But the whole purpose of creating this group is just an opportunity for agencies to get together. For some of you, it's the first time you've done it. And when you're here more times, you get to know each other a little bit better and build those relationships. And I would encourage you to build relationships outside of this roundtable, connect with people on LinkedIn. There's some of the agencies in the group that have done business with each other on the back of meeting here. And that's, you know, that's exactly what I want from this group. When I was running an agency, it was very fucking isolating. I was kind of felt like I was on my own and nobody really wants to talk to me. It might just be because I'm an obnoxious cunt. That might be why nobody wanted to talk to me, but whatever. But yeah, it's an opportunity to just meet with other agencies. And if you're struggling with particular challenges or there's stuff that's going on in your agency you're not quite sure, then throw it over in an email or we'll bring it up in an upcoming roundtable. These are run once a month. I have these, and it is a Wednesday, second Wednesday of every month. So you get out as much as you put into it. If you guys can make the time, and girls, but I call everyone guys, that's fine. If you guys, like whatever it is that you need, whatever challenges you're having, throw it in the group. And if I don't have the answer, which I probably will, and that's not me being arrogant, I've consulted with nearly 600 agencies in 3 years, so I've heard a little bit of everything. If I don't have the answer, then I will absolutely connect you with someone else in my network, another agency most likely, who's gone through exactly the same thing and can just give you a crash course in this is exactly what you need to do and here's the framework. Is that cool?
Sounds good.
I wanted to say thank you so much for just putting together this meeting. It was really great to meet you and everybody else. Look forward to many more meetings.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for joining. Don't be so shy the next time, because I don't want to be like the only fucking mad bastard in the group. Like it's exhausting. It's not exhausting. It's 34 years of mad bastard. It's not exhausting at all.
It's always fun and always exciting.
Excellent. I'm so happy. I'm here for you, Lisa.
I'll actually pop in. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here for you. I know you appreciate it.
Rachel, do you have a link you can send us in the chat for where we can find some more information about joining the other groups?
Sure, yeah. I actually have a group kicking off next month called Agency Avengers. For those who don't know, most of you should by now, I'm fucking obsessed with Marvel. I try not to wear my Marvel t-shirt too much because, you know, a bit dorky. I need to grow up already, but whatever. So I have the Agency Avengers kicking off next month, and I actually have 4 other agencies, Damiano being one of them, John from Avex, Darren from Irish Titan, and Adam from an agency called Blend Commerce in the UK. And between the 5 of us, we're I'm running the group, but I'm just going to have them as my sidekicks because they're all cute and they all have their little areas of expertise around leadership, paid discovery, employees, and sales. So I have that kicking off next month, so I can share that if you want. I think I'm going to send out an email next week about it. To be honest, that fucking retreat at the end of last month just fucked me up because I just got in holiday mode way too quickly. And then the week after, I just got a bit depressed that it was all over. And I was supposed to do a shitload of work last week. And I just decided to just fucking Netflix and chill and just do the calls I had to do and do nothing else apart from eat croissants because I was so sad. So I need to get my shit together this week and I'll send out the details around that.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Excellent. Well, thanks for all the sharing. I've recorded this and I'll upload this and I will tag everybody on LinkedIn so you can all, you know, mingle. Virtually.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that roundtable. As promised, I said I would finish up at the end with just a little bit more about how I build technologies into my tech stack with my agencies, and more specifically, how that can work with Gorgeous. So if you don't know a little bit about Gorgeous, overall, they massively streamline the customer journey. The technology automates about 20% of FAQs, which it's there to help reduce support costs. And all of that stuff combined is a fantastic way, a proven way to increase customer loyalty. If you know anything about what's going on in the industry right now, loyalty and retention is one of the top topics in e-commerce. So anything that is built around that topic of retention and retention marketing, which you've probably heard a lot about. In my experience, perfect example, we had a brand that we worked with that were very busy brand. They grew, Instagram brand, grew very, very busy, and we worked directly with the e-com manager, and I could never get stuff through to her. I was constantly chasing her all the time, just constantly chasing her, and I would take her out for lunches and dinners and drinks, and I'm like, what's going on, Zoe? I'm constantly sending these messages, I'll never hear back. And she said, I am balls deep in support, dealing with customer support and dealing with like returns and inquiries and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh, okay, let me figure out a solution that's going to work. So then I found out about Gorgeous, and I introduced Gorgeous, the technology, into that brand. And it was a game changer for me, building retainers around the clients. It was a game changer because I was able to push things through with this e-com manager so much easier and quicker. And after that, a bit of a light bulb went off, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a key part of my tech stack for the clients that we're working with. And I put that when clients moved from projects into retainers, I recommended that. Very few of them said no, to be honest. It was a really easy sell. It's not really a sell, it's a recommendation. And it was a game changer. So not only that, anybody who knows Gorgeous will tell you that. They're great partners. They're a fantastic team. They're super good fun. In fact, I have one of the team coming over next month to join me at a retreat I'm hosting here in Gran Canaria, so that should be super cute. And additionally, one of my agencies actually uses the technology for their inbound inquiries and uses it pretty effectively. So there's lots of different use cases for this, more than perhaps what people realize. It's more than just help desk or support. If you're working with brands and you're working with them on retention and increasing loyalty and branding, I would say you should give this a crack. So at the end, there'll be slides at the end of this now with some of the partner information. If you want to know any more about them, again, this is not a sales pitch. This is a genuine recommendation because I have worked with them for years, as do a lot of my brands. Give me a shout and I'm happy to make an introduction, or there should be a link here that you can go and just sign up and get on a call with them. See ya.